So, what shall we talk about?
So my mind has still a question, maybe. I was a long time busy with understanding how the brain function, how you can change your patterns, and then I realized, okay, it's just on a personal level. So, what?
That's it.
Okay. So I realized long time, okay, I tried to open up some blockage and whatever, and then I realized, oh, it's only on a personal level. That's not the truth. So then having often, or a lot of times, the recognition for a moment, there is still my mind coming up and say, okay, but if there is an individual free will, then maybe your body-mind system has some preferences, and then maybe why not changing old patterns? But also knowing it's just the doer who comes in, but I'm somehow
It's just a
doer.
doer.
So, and maybe the doer has the fear of losing its job, so maybe therefore it comes in all the time, but there is still a confusion. Does it make sense changing some neurological patterns, opening up some traumas because maybe there is a individual free will, or just let it be at all?
You think you could? You think you can? Just let it be all. It's not so easy. Don't get so much hang up on that thing with the doer or not the doer. Everybody here is so crazy about it. But if you make an effort, it's still the doer, there is still doership. And then finally, instead of doing something that would make sense, they just remain confused. Of course it makes sense, but not with the sense that you are thinking that you have to work and work and work and somehow you are creating reality, or that you are working to break through something. But the fact is simply that most of the people, day in and day out, without being aware of it, they are doing all the time. All that stuff that goes through the head all the time, it's a tremendous effort that is just being puffed out into space. And as long as that is going on, you don't get around to do something about it. Because if you then simply say, okay, just let it go, then it just goes on and on and on and on forever. Repeating the story over and over and over and over again. So you have to at least make that effort to remind you, to check, to watch, to see what's going on, and then learn to detach. And even in that conscious detaching is a little sense of doership. So what? Don't you worry about it. It's not going to do anything bad things to you. But you're right, of course, it's not that you should now too much be concerned what kind of a good person you are, with the hope that you're slowly getting holier and holier and holier. It's not the point of getting holier and holier and holier. It's the point that you become aware that you're not a person. But as long as the person is so full of egocentric stuff, then there is not much chance that you can let it go, and it's worth the trouble to have a good look at it and work a bit on it. But it's more a matter of seeing what's going on and learn to let go, than changing yourself.
So actually, I didn't talk about becoming more holier, actually, though that's not my interest. And also not about the idea of the stories going on. It's more the idea of, does it make sense to, let's say, my personality, body, mind system has some preferences,
Yeah.
but is blocked because of some old stories. So does it make sense to change neurological pattern to get a new pattern? Because this is only on the mental, on the personality level. So does it make sense? Because
To change that.
maybe I have preferences, or my personality has preferences, or just let I go everything. Then it's also okay if I'm sitting in jail, and for what?
As long as you are appearing in a human form, then you will have preferences. It's not that which creates the problem. The problem is that we are getting all obsessed about it. And we think that we can be happy only if I'm doing this, I'm doing that. If this and this is happening. Then if you make your well-being, if you make your happiness dependent on the circumstances, then you're in trouble. So don't trouble too much yourself trying to change your preferences. But remind yourself that it is not important. Somehow or other, we have to behave. Somehow, something or other we have to do, as long as we are manifesting here. But somehow we have to become aware that what we are always looking by crazy running around and doing this, that happiness, that somehow that sense of fulfillment that we are running after is not coming from there, it's coming out of yourself. The more you become aware of that, the less important it is what kind of preferences you have. But as long as you are there, I mean, what's wrong with liking some food better than other food, with liking some music better than other music, preferring to be with certain kind of people than with others? But often it's simply the circumstances will not work according to our liking and to our preferences. And then if you become unhappy because of that, there is something to work on it. Because it's then not really the circumstances, but my idea that it should be different. I don't want it to be like this. I don't want the circumstances to be like this, so if they are the way I don't like it, then I'm miserable. And even if they are the way they like it, I want to hold them. And they always change in spite of that all the time. And then we are pissed again because it changed. And so our self-definition and our well-being is so totally dependent whether at that moment the circumstances are according to our preferences. And as long as you are living like that, something needs to be done about. But it's not so much that you change now all your preferences, but that you learn to put them where they belong. It's just as part of the little role that you're playing in the theater of this world, without taking that damn story so serious. Become aware that all you need to have that sense of fulfillment that everybody is looking for by running like mad around, all we have to do is to let go. And there it comes out of yourself. It's already there. It's never absent. But we are so busy in our mind, in our ideas, in our fixation to the perceptions, that we hardly ever recognize that. And that's because we're fixing on our preferences. We have our whole list of things that I want, and we have our whole list of things that I don't want. And then I try to get the things that I want. If it happens, fine. If it doesn't happen, oh, it's miserable. But actually, when the things are adjusting to our liking and we feel happy, that happiness doesn't come from the circumstances. simply after that in the mind, we think, I was so happy because of this and this and this and this, and we try to reproduce it, and most of the time it just doesn't work. But what is happening when things are to our liking, when a desire is fulfilled, for a moment we just let go. For a moment we don't torture our mind, it should be different. For a moment, because we like the circumstances, there is that letting go happening effortlessly, naturally. And there, that sense of fullness, that sense of beauty and joyousness which is always there waiting, has a chance to come to the surface. And we feel happy. But after that we give that happiness to the circumstances, and there we make the mistake of again creating trouble, because we try and try and try again. All we have to learn is that letting go that is happening when we fulfill a desire, and there you can be happy all the time, whether the circumstances are according to your preferences or not. But of course, if you have gross preferences and you know perfectly well, if you go after those and you're always creating pain for yourself and others, there you can work on those. of breaking the pattern of repeating those destructive habits. But it's not so much that we have to change and change and change the habits, more get detached and become aware, my well-being is not dependent on that. You are complete here now. You are full of beauty and joyousness. It's simply that we have somehow forgotten it and get the attention locked up in the mind and create ideas what is necessary to be happy, and there we run and run and run. But as long as you are here, there are some preferences, there's nothing wrong with it. Yes?
I wanted to ask you, are you happy? But apparently you are happy. So.
Apparently I am. Well, you basically are also happy. Sometimes maybe you're not aware of it.
Probably, yes.
Huh?
Most probably, yes, certainly. I'm not aware, but sometimes I am happy.
Yes. Sometimes you are happy without doing something about it. Huh?
Certainly, yes. Oh,
Yes.
yes. Happens.
Yes. And it's also there when you are not aware of it.
You're right, yes.
Well, I simply at a certain point was fed up with making myself always unnecessarily miserable. Then I stopped doing it.
I understand.
There are, as long as you are living in this world, it's not that eventually your life will be a stream of continuous pleasant experiences. Not here, not in this world. A moment it's pleasant, a moment it's unpleasant. A moment it's pleasant, a moment it's unpleasant. But if you don't make your well-being dependent on that, then you're not getting miserable because of it. Then you can be happy, basically happy in the weirdest situations.